States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mark from the States. How are we doing today? I am doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming. Hey, come sit on this big fake couch. Let's watch another video together. Let's learn something. You know I'm going to learn. I'm always here to learn. That's why I am a part of our channel. You guys have just been absolutely amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today we're going to watch a video from WC21 UK Productions Limited. Darren over there, he's a wonderful guy, so I encourage you to go to his channel, like, subscribe, do the things, go down the rabbit hole, watch all his videos. He's got tons, and they're all just, I'm sure, amazing. I have not seen them all, obviously, but the ones that I have seen, and I've seen bits and pieces of others. Don't get me wrong, I've cheated a little bit just to kind of see what the video is. I've cheated, sure. They look, here's the thing. With Darren, I just love the way he presents. He's a great host. He's great. His channel was recommended by Tweety Pubs. John over there, he's you got to check this guy out. He's a friend of his, you know. So I'm like, oh, sure. And I was like, oh, yeah. And we did that video, Roman Phallus, I believe. And it was great. It was great. I loved it. I loved it. And a lot of you did as well. So please go become subscribers of his. It's important. But today we're going to see a canceled Roman town. I don't know what this is about, so I'm expecting to learn a whole bunch today. Hopefully you'll get something out of it as well. If you have not seen the video, first go to his channel and watch it. Then come over and watch it with me. This way you can, of course, give me context, help me out. The things I will inevitably miss, as always. I'm pretty clueless when I get into these, especially when you start getting into like Roman stuff, because I don't have that shared history like you all do. So pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, let's do it. Before I start though, just a reminder, conversation with Magic Geekdom this Sunday, so get your questions in. Community tab on our channel, Mark from the States. You can put your question there under the post, or you can email me. Just make sure you point out that, hey, I got a question for you, and get those in before our talk. We are tentatively scheduled to talk this Sunday at 10 a.m. So hopefully I can do a good job. Now, I'm of course starting to get a little nervous because I want it to look good, but you guys are all just amazing with your kind words from the last one that we did with Off Day. So I'm excited for it to happen this Sunday. So stick around for that as well. So let's get to this video though.
Lester. Okay. '60s utopia.
1, 2, 3 fantastic columns in the churchyard here of St Nicholas in Leicester, a cancelled Roman town. Cancelling people is a very popular pastime in 2023, so I'm told. So possibly a cancelled Roman town is going to do well for the old likes and subscribes. Once again, we have the Romans very cleverly incorporating the Iron Age tribal system into their occupation here. This was the heartland of the Coriel Tavi, and I'll put the Romanized name of the town down there to avoid having to
Not even gonna make that effort.
Leicester is one of two centres in this part of the Midlands occupied by the Coriel Tavi and then subsequently adopted by the Romans. That's a friendly way of saying occupied, isn't it? And Old Sleaford did sort of wane away, but here, Leicester in Roman times was a really important place. Oh, and there's a call out here to get interactive with the channel. This Roman policy of co-opting the tribal structure into the occupation is one that fascinates me. And what I want to find out about and can't is what happened 370 years later when the Roman army withdrew. All of these towns were still carrying the name of these Iron Age tribes. Was there any lingering memory or structure around at that time, or had it been completely forgotten about? If you know anything about that, please leave it in the comments or send us an email. We might even invite you to come and take part. And unlike other Roman towns that we visited in the Roman Gazette, the Roman remains here in Leicester are all concentrated in one area, despite the fact that it was a walled Roman town of some 100 acres. All that we have left today to have a look at is here in this one area. Having a look at it today in 2023 is not easy. The most visible and dramatic part of Roman Leicester that survives today is called the Jury Wall, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But today,
I've heard of that.
This is about as close as we can get to it. We are well and truly disbarred from the Jury Wall. The site was acquired by the council back in 2016 and has effectively been shut from public access since 2017. It was meant to reopen this year in 2023, but by my calculation, they've only got a few weeks left. Actually, we count it's 4 Roman columns. There's another one there. Be part of history. Take a look at our progress. That's what it says. There's precious little sign of any progress in there. This is about as close as we can get to the old Jury Wall Museum, itself a listed structure built, I think, in 1961. It is completely empty in there, so where all the Roman goodies are, I don't know. The things we're not going to be able to have a look at today include a milestone from, I think, Hinckley, dated to around 120 AD, some amazing mosaics, including the Peacock pavement, and some fabulous wall plaster that was discovered in 1958. Some of you may posit that the cancellation of Roman Leicester is down to the name of the wall, the Jury Wall. It's a bit sensitive, isn't it? What do we know about it? The first reference of that name is 1665, but it's very unlikely that it has anything to do with Leicester's small Jewish community, which of course was reduced to 0 by Simon de Montfort in 1231 when he evicted them all. The probable origin of this name, Jury Wall, comes from the fact that in medieval times, jurors met in the churchyard next door. And we've got just a simple corruption of that word. In fact, my predecessor as an antiquarian, William Stukeley, labelled it on his map in 1722 as the Jury Wall, J-U-R-Y. The Jury Wall is one of the largest and highest chunks of surviving Roman masonry here in the UK, somewhat similar to the old works that we saw in post-Roman city at Wroxeter. Well, about 70 of you saw that. And all you continuity freaks will love that its survival was because it was incorporated into the first iteration of the church that you can see behind me by the Anglo-Saxons.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it here because I want to go back and read this. The parish church of St. Nicholas, portions of this church, which is partly built of Roman materials, are of pre-Norman architecture. The church is believed to occupy the site of an ancient pagan temple. Nice. Okay. St. Nicholas. All right.
Restoration of the church that you can see behind me by the Anglo-Saxons. And then by the time we get to Victorian times, it looked like this sort of overlay here, a fantastic painting by John Fletcher, showing buildings sort of built into the arched recesses of the wall. All of those surrounding buildings were cleared away in the 1920s, including the demolition of a factory with a plan to build a public swimming pool. And of course, ironically, what they found underneath that was the Roman bathhouse. And it's a unique Roman bathhouse in the UK in that they had his and hers changing rooms. Ahead of their times in the Roman period.
I'm sorry, we got his and her changing rooms. Wow.
Had his and hers changing rooms. Ahead of their times in the Roman period, Leicester was ahead of the times in the 1930s. The excavations were led by a Kathleen Kenyon. And as I've said that, I realised I know someone called Kenyon. I'll have to check with them to see if they're related. It doesn't matter. Anyhow, she discovered the bathhouse, and that led to the understanding that the jury wall was actually the wall of the palestra, the gym, and not the forum basilica. Unfortunately, the footpath behind the wall here is closed for health and safety reasons. The excavations in the 1930s led them to the understanding that the wall was built in 125 AD. Wow. I think they could do with finding a little bit of that. Now, it's easy to be a great big internet critic, isn't it? But looking at this footage, I do find myself going all a bit holier than thou. To see this incredibly important Roman site like this is pretty depressing. You know, if they didn't have the funding to undertake the refurbishment in 2017, why close the place? Surely it was better to have some dough coming in and to allow gazetteers to gazette. I don't want to go all Richard Vobes here, but it does make you wonder if this is all part of the anti-classical movement, that conspiracy to make us forget about Roman Britain and see history as only about World War II.
Is that a thing? Is there a faction of people or organizations that are trying to erase the Roman history? I mean, they're going to have to rename a lot of things if they want to get rid of their Roman heritage, for sure. I get what he says. A lot of things kind of begin with World War II. That's I remember when I was younger, I used to always ask my dad, because my dad, of course, was a big World War II guy, and he loved the movies and the books and the machines that all surrounded World War II. And the History Channel would show tons of World War II, documentaries all the time, right? Even today, if you go to some variation of the History Channel, there's so many different channels now, but they show there's, millions of what seems to be, World War II documentaries. And I used to always why is World War II so focused on and not, say, World War I? And of course, my dad, being the smart man that he was, said the most obvious and thing that has stuck with me forever. It's because they have footage of, there's some film, of course, in World War I, but not like they have if World War II became more commonplace to be able to get stuff on camera and preserve it. And so he's like, yeah, they filmed World War II. And I'm like, oh, right. It all makes sense now. But so I think that might play into that sentiment of things kind of begin with World War II historically, because we have a lot of record of it. That's just my kind of 2 cents, I guess. But for the people that want to, and who's to say who it is? It could be such a small faction. I imagine it is a small group that, for whatever reason, want to, lack of a better word, cancel the Roman heritage that the UK has. I guess Britain, England, has that. It's steep in just Roman history. I don't know how you could do it, but interesting. Yeah, this has been good. This is good. Leicester. I've always wanted to go to Leicester. Excuse me. Some people have said, yeah, don't. Some people said, sure, of course, every place is going to have some not so flattering parts, and they're going to have some really cool parts. But some people have said, yeah, it's kind of been, some have said it's run down. But I would love to go, again, every town even here in the States, as towns ebb and flow with their finances. Things get built, things don't get built, some things don't get taken care of. They allow things to, it's a fluid thing. But some people said, yeah, you should go. Of course, I want to go and see that, where they found King Richard III, right? Found his remains in that what I call parking structure, car park. I would love to go see the museum that's associated with that. That would be pretty cool. I mean, that story alone is so bizarre. It's hard to even grasp it. In today's modern world, you're still able to find, a king buried under a parking lot, car park. So it's just incredible. But so that I would always want to draw me to Leicester, I think. But obviously, that's not on probably my first 1, 2, or even maybe 3 trips to England. It's probably going to be put down the list, but still something historical, and I think pretty crazy of a story. I would love to see, for sure. Anyway, sorry for the ramble. Back to the video.
We should clarify that we knew it was like this. It is not an example of YouTuber does inadequate research, but it was a lot more difficult than anticipated. One, we didn't know that they'd now shut off the path behind the jury wall as well. Two, I'd been to a wedding the day before and was feeling a little bit fragile. And three, Mrs. WC21 UK Productions Limited was waiting in some godforsaken NCP car park. We had to rely on fake drone version 1. It was just way too risky to fly V2 over the site in case it decided to do its little trick of suddenly landing and refusing to move. This was a very important trading centre back in the Roman day. The marketplace was actually as big as the Forum, and archaeologists have determined that the Forum itself was marked out in the ground, but building didn't actually start for some time. Presumably a bit like this wretched museum refurb, they were just waiting for the cash to come through. I think on balance, to sound all corporate, the continuity was probably the best thing about this visit. Trying to work out how the jury wall worked in the context of the first Saxon church was pretty difficult, but finding those Roman columns still knocking about after nearly 2,000 years was really great. And there is plenty of Roman stonework in the current church too, which I think dates to about 880, something like that. The church and the wall and the museum are all sort of stranded in a 60s utopia of ring roads, and one couldn't help but fume a little bit to think about what was lost when these underpasses were built. It seems to me that they're a bit obsessed with Richard III here in Leicester at the moment, and they're neglecting their Roman legacy, which is a shame. I hope you've enjoyed the video nonetheless. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be back with another video next week.
Please go support. There it is. I dig his channel. I do. I really do. This was interesting because heater. Excuse the heater. Thank you. First, Darren, thank you so much. Please go support WC21 UK Productions, Mr. and Mrs. She was waiting in the car park this whole time. That's funny. Go support their channel. It's important that you do so. Go and like and subscribe. Do all the wonderful things that you all do. This was an interesting video. I mean, it says a lot here from what I'm taking from it. I mean, they have this important Roman find here. It seems like probably it hasn't, from what I gather and what he was leading on talking about, it just hasn't really moved forward into they've closed it down, whether they closed it because of the pandemic at first or maybe it closed before then. I couldn't remember if he mentioned that. But it just, maybe the funds aren't rolling through. The dig at the end saying that the town is more, into the finding of Richard III, which is what I was mentioning. Of course, that's how I've heard of it, and it's a big deal. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, this is pretty gnarly just by looking at those ruins there, and gosh, but they're keeping it from everybody to be able to see. I mean, so I don't know if it's just a matter of they need money or what, but some pretty historical and ancient artifacts there. Yeah, I mean, you're going to all have to let me know where it stands today, for those of you who know. And if Leicester's worth going to at some point in my life. I am, if for any of you who have watched my ancestry videos, my DNA, I am specifically, my DNA takes me to the Midlands. West Midlands, I believe, is where it pinpointed. Somewhere around there. So, all this area is somewhat, I mean, and that's where Leicester is, right? There's Leicester's in that area. I could be totally wrong here. I'm not looking at a map. I'm not going to edit this out. So if I'm completely wrong where Leicester is and it's nowhere near where I'm talking about, I will look foolish, but that's okay. I'm learning, and that's how we're doing it. So there's like Leeds and Bradford. I think we did a video on Bradford. They're all up in this area, Nottingham, and a few other places, but it's all in that kind of area, I believe. But anywho, hope you enjoyed that. I did a lot. Please go support his channel. Really important, and hopefully we will see you in the next one. Just a quick reminder, get your questions in if you even have them. Conversation is this Sunday with Magic Geekdom, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe, and we will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark, and he's from